Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking our very first look at the brand new legendary tier pan-European destroyer, the Gdansk. Or the Gdansk. I'm not sure which way it's pronounced. I know it's Polish. Anyway, speaking of Polish, our commander is none other than Jerzy Swirsky. We have Eric Bay and William Sims as our inspirations. We have Observant Rage, Look at Me Now, Perceptive, Fox Flare, and we have Unstoppable as our commander skills. For the overall loadout, we are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 2, Concealment System Mod, and Main Battery Mod 3. Okay. For the loadout, we are running the Italian Unity flag, because if you squint just right, kind of looks like a Spartan helmet. We have the engine boost, because defensive AA is a joke. And we have the radar, of course, which is absolutely busted. But we'll show that off when we can. Specs. Survivability. With this build, we have 28,000 hit points, so not too shabby. Artillery, you get 130mm 50 caliber MLE 1929s. You get a single barrel turret at the back of the ship, and then you have 3 dual turrets for a combined total of 7 main battery guns. They fire out to 11.1 kilometers with this build, though if you wanted to build into some range or put an epic battle booster, you could easily get that out there further, and this thing would probably still be just as nasty as ever. Base reload is 4.3 seconds with this build, with a 180-degree turn time of 15.1 seconds. And that is the biggest problem with this ship. But it doesn't really matter, because most of the guns are 360-degree turrets. There's only 2 guns that aren't, and that is the very front gun and the very rear gun. Those are the only ones that you ever have to worry about not being on target when you need them, because everything else is capable of firing in 360 degrees. So they're always where you need them when you need them. HE shell maximum damage is 2,000 with a 10% chance to set fires, but it feels a heck of a lot bigger than that. This thing is a flamethrower. I don't know why, but it just is. Also, these are 139mm guns, and they pin everything with their HE. Like, legitimately just about everything except for the thickest armor on ships will be pinnable by this HE. Meaning, not only do you set fires, but the shells hurt. Torpedoes. You have 530mm PTA 5330s. You get 10 of those in a quintuple, 2x-quintuple launchers. You get a reload time of 115 seconds with a maximum damage of just 11,200 and a torpor detectability range of 1.6 kilometers, which is on the bad side of the detectability. However, they only have 10 kilometers range, and they do that in 82 knots. So it's gonna be on you quick. Okay, despite being able to see them a little bit quicker. It doesn't matter because they're speedy boys. Anyway, AA defense, we got 25mm, 110mm, 25mm, 110 PM, 4M, 120s. God, I hate how nations do theirs. Anyway, you get 8 of those, doing 17 damage per second, reaching out to just 3.1 kilometers. And then you have the 57mm ZIF 75s. You get 20 of those, which is absurd for a destroyer, doing 125 damage per second, reaching out to 4 kilometers. Okay. Maneuverability, 43 knots top speed, without the engine boost going on. So, I mean, 43 is the best number. Everybody knows it. Turning circle, not the greatest in this, but compared to a lot of your legendary tier destroyers, is actually not terrible. Rudder shift time is 3.8 seconds with this build, and she's able to get out of dodge most of the time. You got to be careful getting too close in a knife fight with other DDs, because you got to make sure that you're able to dodge torpedoes, because they will just shotgun you. Ask me how I know. Detectability range by sea is 5.3 kilometers, which doesn't sound great, but isn't terrible. It's 5.3 is fantastic for most ships, especially when you consider this is a gunboat that has a William Sims extra health, and it has radar and smoke. This thing is disgusting. It's everything you come to know and love out of the Katsanas and the Split, and then some. Detectability by air 3.1, guaranteed is always 2, and detectability while firing in smoke is 2.9 kilometers. Alright, now's the part where I get to cry, because my stats in this ship are going to be terrible, at least from a win rate standpoint. It's actually not as bad as I thought. Apparently, we've won a few of those games that I thought we were losing, but 60% win rate could be a lot better. We've had a lot of blowouts today, man. The blowouts have been insane. But felt a lot worse than this. But the ship is fantastic. Don't get it twisted. It ain't the ship's fault. I've had some pretty rough teams. You know, the kind of teams that just sit in the back and watch everything until they die? That's my teams today. But as can be witnessed if you go watch Tommy Boy's video, I'm sure his video will be the one where I get absolutely obliterated because I try to sneak up on him and I get hunted down by a Kronstadt coming all the way from the corner of the map to radar me just in time to throw off my entire plan of torpedoing Tommy in a smokescreen. And then I get caught by the Kronstadt, Tommy Boy, a Z-46, I think it was, and a Pommern, and my health just evaporated very quickly. But I'm sure you guys will see that in his video. Highly recommend you guys check him out, Tommy Boy 601. I'll leave a link down to his channel down in the comments if you guys want to check him out. But anyway, 10 battles played, so small sample size, keep that in mind. But 57% main gun accuracy, torpedo accuracy is 12%. Again, showcasing that I tend to land these torpedoes more than most torpedo boats. They are shorter range, they're only 10 kilometers, and they go there very quickly. Average 75,000 damage per match is a little bit low. Again, it's been a couple of matches where I just got absolutely obliterated. That's kind of tweaking the damage a little bit, but you can see that's pretty good. Average XP is 2,000. Again, showcasing that this thing is pretty nasty. Even in the losses, we've been able to get some pretty good XP totals. Anyway. Moving on. Armor. You don't have any. You're a destroyer, so get over it. Yeah, it's nothing to explain from an armor standpoint. Overview. Fast. Above average maximum movement speed. A base speed of 43 knots is pretty good. Flare for fire. She is only equipped with HE shells. You cannot switch to AP, but you should be used to that by now. And then short range, low torpedo range. At the tier, having 10 kilometers, torpedoes does seem a little bit low, but again, this ship is fully capable of getting in, dropping those torps, getting away before it becomes spotted, so it's really not that bad. But here we go. The Gdansk. Poland aimed for naval superiority through quality rather than quantity, designing large destroyers to compete with light cruisers. In the late 1930s, several projects were considered in Gdynia. I'm just going to call it Gdynia. I'm going to assume the G is, or it's Gdynia, one or the other. Including the Mogador class destroyers, which were comparable to light cruisers in some aspects, and superior in others, such as speed. If built in France, these destroyers would have been upgraded with Soviet air defense systems, radars, and torpedoes in the 1950s and 60s. She was designed in 1939, never built. So, let's take a look at her. I love this camo. This was the perfect camo for this ship because I wanted like a shadow camo on it, but I also wanted it to be like representative of the fact that this ship is going to burn the out of everything. And I think I accomplished that with this camo. But this is the Siren camo, and it is gorgeous. And this ship is a good-looking ship, to be perfectly honest, for a destroyer. And I have a lot of fun in these Pan-Euro destroyers, man. I ain't gonna lie. These things fit my playstyle so well with my ability to get in there, murder destroyers, get out, and just start harassing everybody. It is so much fun. So with all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Tears of the Desert, and we are in the Gdansk, or the Gdansk. I don't know which way it is. I apologize to all the Polish folks out there, but I think we're going to showcase this ship as the absolute menace that it actually is. And I'm going to have a pretty fun game on top of it. So, hopefully you guys are ready. We're going to get right into it. Now, we spawned on the right side. We've got a cruiser and a battleship behind us. There are 2 destroyers in the lobby, and there are 2 potential radars against us. One is a Brisbane, and the other is a Des Moines. We know all this because we look at the team at the beginning of the match. Like, every time. So if you don't do that, how do you plan your game accordingly, right? Especially as a destroyer player. You got to know how many radars you're up against, and then you want to try to locate those radars when you're going out and spotting at the beginning of the match so that you can put yourself in this best possible scenario, right? You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you get yeeted early in the match. And this is something that I hear a lot of people talk about when I talk about like things like the destroyer players being some of the worst in the game. Like, it is the easiest class to play in the game. It's not the easiest class to play well, but it is the easiest class to play. Because all you got to do is run around and capture bases and try not to die early in the match. That's it. Because while you're doing that, you're going to be spotting, right? That's normal. But there's a lot of nuance to it, and that's where everybody seems to fail. And I'm going to show a perfect example of some of that nuance. Now, because I know what I'm doing, and I pay attention to things, we know that there's a good chance there's a Des Moines or a Brisbane over here, right? So we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we get spotted by the Des Moines. Right off the bat, we've got their enemy Z46 spotted, and we have a huge advantage in this fight. We get a couple of shots early on. He's going to hit us back, and then we're going to use our radar as soon as he smokes up, and then we're going to use our smoke screen so that we reset the radar to having at least 20 seconds of radar. But that's going to allow us to get rid of this guy easily. There's nothing he can do about this. But notice that I'm reversing as well, away from the corner. One, because of torpedoes that we knew would be likely to come, and two, because there's a Des Moines right there, which is a radar cruiser that is prolifically capable of getting rid of me. So now what you're going to see is me doing exactly what you should do in this situation, which is GTFO. Get the f out of there, right? It's that simple. Like, if you know that there's a radar cruiser or a long-range sonar destroyer or a long-range sonar battleship or something like that pushing in on you, get out of there. Put some distance between you and the bad guy. Now, right off the bat, you see the enemy Mino gets yeeted. It was a Mino, not a Brisbane. I don't know why I thought it was a Brisbane, but same ship. But could have been a radar. We don't know. But he's dead, and that's all that matters. Now, as we push forward, obviously we're giving up this side. And a lot of people are probably going to hate on me for this, but trust me, there is a difference between tactfully retreating or tactical relocation in this sense, or just flat out running away and not doing anything, right? So you'll see that I'm starting to spot for my team again as we come around the island. We've got the Columbo spotted. We've got the Des Moines still sitting in the cap. I'm trying to measure these guys up to see if maybe there's a chance that I get some torpedoes, but I don't like my odds here, right? I just don't feel like this is going to work out. So I'm like, okay, screw it. We're going to go into the middle of the map and try to get some angles, as these guys are going to overextend. We know that they are, right? They have the advantage on this side. All they're going to do is YOLO in, and we need to be in position to be able to stop that. Now, there was one battleship that we didn't get a chance to check out, and that is the GK. The Grosse Kurfürst is in the middle of the map, and he has decided to double back into the center. This is not ideal, because he's putting himself in a perfect spot to counter me. And, on top of that, just as I'm getting ready to set up a potential torp strike, the enemy Des Moines decides now is the perfect opportunity to radar, which is highly unfortunate. Now, I expect this guy to potentially slow down, so I go ahead and aim one set where it tells me, and the next set a little bit short, expecting him to slow down potentially. And then I go ahead and open up the guns on the GK, trying to get the fires that we need, and you can see that right out the gate, he did DC the fire. Which is a terrible idea. You get immediately a DC on a single fire, like you're going to get set on fire. And there you go. We got a perma fire right there. We got torpedoes on the way. There's the double perma. And at this point, we don't fire the guns anymore because there's a good chance he's got fire with fire. And now he's got a perma flood and a double perma fire on him, meaning this man is all but dead, right? Now, we do get shot at a little bit by the enemy Navarin. His secondaries were going off, but fortunately for us, we're fine. GK is flooding and burning to death, and teammates are trying to yoink the kill off of me, but I don't think they end up pulling it off. But he goes down, giving us a second kill, and we're over 76,000 damage already. Now, as we start to push in, you can see the Zhao is pushing away from the left flank because our team won that flank. Our team failed the right flank, but they're still trying to fight it. I'll give them a little bit of credit. Personally, I would have seen these guys get out of there. There's no reason for them to continue to fight their entire team out in the open water like that, especially the battleships. Cruisers can kind of kite away, get away with a little bit more, but as battleships, you got to recognize when a side is kaput and get out of there, right? Like, you just, there's no winning that side. So, fall back, allow your team to come in behind and do what teammates should be able to do. Now, we're trying to hope that the Columbo is going to double back and come for us. But these guys are all looking to charge out after the friendly cruiser and battleships. Now, as we get over here, we're spotting the Zhao, and we also have the potential to spot their Shima. It turns out their Shima wasn't even playing. Guys, AFK. But this next torpedo strike, I wish I had sent both sets of torps here, but I held on to a set because I wanted to make sure I'd be able to potentially torp the other side. And so here you can see I actually end up getting the Shima spotted. And I don't want to fire my guns right away because that's a Zao right next to me, right? Like, that is a lot of HE sent in my direction. So I just let my teammates go for the kill here on the Shima. Now, on one side, that's a good thing. But on the other side, I could have gotten the kill here, potentially. I do end up trying to get the kill. But I'm pretty sure that this is my cracking out the window. But we try to get the kill. We hit him, but unfortunately don't get the kill. We also end up torping the Zao at the same time. So we ended up timing that really well to the point where the Zao's not going to be able to shoot us before we get this base capped, right? So now we're turning towards him to make ourselves as skinny as possible. He does get a shot out at us, but he ends up splashing all around us. Doesn't actually get the reset on the cap. And we are able to just leave him to his own devices. He's not a threat to the team for the time being. Meanwhile, we've picked up our third kill, putting ourselves in a position to have the points lead for the rest of the fight. But it's not over, folks. This team is actually trying to throw. And we've talked about this multiple times. Like, these are the games that you end up having either great players step up and do great things, or you have just a team collapse, because we should be handily winning this fight. Now you can see the Columbo smoke screen over here is protecting him and the Des Moines. And I have to try to guess as to where this Columbo is in the smoke. Now he's obviously not like running anywhere. So we're just going to try to put it for the center of the smoke and see if we can't hit him or the Des Moines. I don't care who takes the torp as long as somebody takes it. It's a to whom it may concern moment, right? The Yama is no threat to anything. The Zao is no threat at the moment. Our friendly destroyer's out there doing what he's doing. And now we get a chance to send torps in the direction of the Columbo. And then we're going to try to smoke up. Now, I end up using a radar here to allow me to sit in my smoke screen, keep this guy spotted. I didn't realize that our destroyer would have also kept him spotted here, but didn't want to take that chance. We get a fire early on the Columbo, and then the torpedoes are coming in, and I was hoping that I would hit him. But nope, the game ends up leaving just enough room for him to slip in between the set of torpedoes. Is that not bullcrap? Like, do you not hate that? I hate that. It's just like the game giving you a big middle finger every time that happens. It's like, I send 10 torpedoes downrange. The first set misses because I aimed towards the island expecting him to be trying to, like, sit there. The second set was aimed at him and he gets the perfect gap to avoid getting yeeted. And then, of course, now he's opened up the angle. We're just going to farm his superstructure at this point. Like, there's no reason for us not to. Now, we don't get AP. This would be a perfect opportunity to have AP because he's given us a full broadside. We would have been able to DPM him even quicker. But because we don't have AP, we have to shoot superstructure here and just keep trying to get the fires. Now, we know he's already damage conned a single fire. So there we get our second fire. That is going to be a permanent fire. And then if we can get a third fire, that'll give us a double fire that's permanent. But we're just going to continue shooting that superstructure, trying to keep our distance a little bit. There's the second, so we've got a double perma fire going. The enemy Zao is starting to wrap back around towards us, so we've got to keep that in mind. The enemy Des Moines is going into the friendly cap and trying to capture the base, and Yamato has put himself in a position where he could be potentially crossfired. Now, that Columbo gets that shot on me, I'm not going to lie, that ends up being a problem later on. Like, I'm glad he didn't shoot sooner, but he did actually hit me. So, shout out to the Columbo for getting a really good shot there at the end. But you can see our destroyer is doing a good job keeping his distance. I'm going to try to put a shot out here for this Yamato, as I know that the friendly destroyer is torping him as well. I'm requesting fire on the enemy Des Moines because I was hoping somebody would be able to take him out, but at the end of the day, it's just 2 cruisers and 2 destroyers versus these guys. Now, this Yamato has a lot of health. We've already done a great job up to this point, 119,000 damage. We've got assists. We've got caps. We've done what we've had to do, right? And as this Yamato starts to push in, I'm trying to get the torps off. And then I'm going to try to put myself in a situation where I could potentially live, given the worst case scenario. Now, I take a shot here before I go behind the island. I knew I was going to get spotted by the Yamato. I was just hoping that I could get away with it. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out, as the enemy Des Moines gets a nice easy shot here. And that hurts, but it wasn't terrible, so I just keep going. I'm wanting to get rid of him. Meanwhile, the torpedoes are hitting the enemy Yamato. That was a much better salvo from the Yamato and the Des Moines, but we go ahead and get another shot out. We've also hit the Yamato with multiple torpedoes, but we're hoping to get rid of this Des Moines here, and we do. Now, with the radar gone, that allows us to make sure that we're going to be just fine, right? Like, we don't have to worry from there. We've successfully defended the cap. Our cruiser is far enough away that he should be fine. Our destroyers shouldn't necessarily get detected here. But I'm going to get a little greedy, I'm not going to lie. I've done everything that I needed to do up to this point, but I'm hoping to get some resets on the enemy. So I'm going to try to get the reset here. We've got the Zal spotted. Our guy's in his smoke screen, or maybe he's outside of his smoke screen, and he's the one spotting the Zal. Either way, Zal's currently spotted. I'm going to try to get some torps away on the enemy Yama when we can. But the main thing is I want to try to get this reset, but I had to wait until the island, and unfortunately I just ended up waiting too long. Was hoping to get the reset, but we didn't get it. So that's going to make this game a lot closer than it necessarily needed to be. Because he ends up getting that cap. Now, if they get a kill or two, like, this game could actually be a loss. So, at this point, I'm just trying to measure up this Yamato, who is just, I mean, he's doing what he has to do, I guess, but he is doing it in such a way that is making him a very easy target for the two destroyers that he's up against. This is a nightmare scenario for a battleship captain, because you're surrounded by destroyers. Now, because I end up pushing over towards the other destroyer here, you can see Zal's actually trying to torpedo me. But we're going to try to get around the corner. We're going to try to put some distance, and I feel pretty confident about my ability to dodge the enemy Zal here. So I go ahead and start shooting him, limiting who can shoot us. It's just the Zal that's capable of shooting us at the moment. Meanwhile, the Yama is being hit by torpedoes. Yama gets a nice shot here around the corner and ends up taking all of my health. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't see it coming. It was a little too late. Zal ends up finishing me off before I get behind the next island. We would have been perfectly fine if it wasn't for that shot. I mean, he had railguns coming out of that front turret. But we did take a lot more damage off the Yamato. We took a lot more damage off of the Zal. So all these guys have to do is survive, and we win. And you'll see me get into chat and remind them of that. It's like, look, guys, you don't have to do anything crazy. We did our job. We stopped them. We've got the cap. We've got the win. All you got to do is not die, and we win. And so as Kitakaze thinks about coming around the corner, I'm just like cringing. I'm like, oh god, I could see how this ends, and it's not ideal. But our Alaska's in a good position to potentially get shots on the Yama, as Yama's all the way across the map. So he's still being useful, and he's surviving, right, which is the main thing. Now, as the Zal comes around the corner here, he's inside the spotting range of the Kitakaze, so Kitakaze has no choice but to go ahead and fire his guns. And you can see right out the gate, ends up getting a huge salvo. The Zal, again, that's what I'm saying about the Zal not being able to shoot. Like, the guy was not really a threat to anybody during that fight. And then, unfortunately, he gets just enough damage to finish me off after the enemy Yama hit me so hard. But he gets a really good salvo against Kitakaze there late. But unfortunately, it's too little too late. Kitakaze finishes him off. And we have a 200-point lead going into the end game with 1 minute left in the match. So I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Have you guys... I don't know. I'm not going to say have you guys been enjoying the Gdansk, because none of y'all should have the Gdansk except other CCs. But have you run into one yet? Have you run into any CCs playing the Gdansk or a super tester from previously? Because it is a nasty boat. But this torpedo strike looks fantastic. Yama's actually going to get turned in just enough to avoid the torpedo as it goes underneath the bow of his ship. But unfortunately for the Yama, he is going to take another torpedo here. And just barely lives. Now, again, we're not in danger of losing this. If the Kitakaze wanted to fire his guns and take out the Yama at this point, I wouldn't blame him. But there's no reason to. If he wants to survive, get a dreadnought or whatever, he's going to be able to do so. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you guys enjoying the new ships that are out? I'll definitely be doing some videos in the other new ships. You guys know the deal. But for now, Gdansk is very nasty. And 163,000 damage, 200 targets hit with the main guns, top of the leaderboard, 3,400 base XP, just shy of a Kraken Unleashed. So let me know what you guys think. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.